Always Sunny in Philadelphia. PTSD.
PTSD.
Yeah.
D. Reynolds.
Now, I watched the episode last night. You just watched it today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you take me through it because I'm a little fuzzy. I've slept since then.
Right.
And napped.
So it starts, and Mac and Frank are in Fallujah.
Yeah. And I was like, is this some kind of 24 thing?
What the hell's going on? Yeah. So Mac and Frank are apparently playing a VR game where they're...
You don't realize that, though, at first.
At first, no.
Because the little kid comes out with like a bottle of water, and Frank just shoots the kid.
Yeah.
Just with no remorse whatsoever.
No remorse at all.
Just shoots the kid.
Yeah.
And then Mac is like, dude,
you
don't.
shot the kid.
and then we realize
and then,
that it's a
then
VR
it cuts
game.
back to the bar, and Charlie and Dennis are watching them walk around the bar with these VR headsets and gloves and stuff, and you realize, oh, they're playing a game.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I would expect, and it was done in like real life
Right.
to the way it looked, but I would expect VR graphics to be even better. Honestly, I'm like, this looks like Sega CD game. So anyway, Dee comes in.
Yeah,
and
Dee
she's
comes in.
She's high off getting fucked.
Yeah.
The last night by some stripper, soldier stripper.
She
is
nailed
what
a
she calls them.
stripper.
Yeah, and she's going on and on about how it was just like
The most
best,
intense.
the most intense
They
sexual
wept.
experience.
They wept together.
Yeah, and Dennis, I guess, accuses her of like, did you do the watch thing? Did you steal something of his? So he'd have to come back. And turns out she did. Because he shows up at the bar, doesn't even remember her name.
Right.
Which was awesome. Because, I mean, a girl like that isn't worth remembering.
But thanks for calling me. I really need that watch back.
Yeah. And he's basically like, you helped me realize that, I finally hit rock bottom. And so naturally, Dee takes offense to it. And I don't blame her for that. Okay? I don't blame her. I mean,
to an extent. Like,
here's
at
the thing.
the same time, I understand what he's saying, and he's not meaning to directly insult her, but it is fairly insulting.
It's pretty insulting. And how would you feel if a woman that you had hooked up with was like, you're my rock bottom?
So literally every sexual encounter I've ever had?
I mean, if you're into the self-deprecating thing, man, it's on you. I think you're a good guy.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So she's very like upset about this, and meanwhile, Dennis decides that he needs to be a stripper.
Yeah.
As well, which we kind of find out because Mac has a dream that. He sees the little boy with the water again, and he sees another, like, terrorist-looking thing. Is that racist to just assume that it's a terrorist?
They're in Fallujah. That's the land of terrorists. I'm pretty sure they're grown there.
Allegedly.
Organic, like farm fresh.
Comes out, like, screaming, like, ha la 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 la. Yeah. And so Mac shoots the other guy, and then he pulls the mask down, and it's his dad. And his dad, like, almost tells him that he loves him, but he doesn't. And then Mac wakes up. Yeah. And he wakes up and he sees, like, in Dennis's room, Dennis is dancing, right? Seductively.
Because he's practicing to be a stripper.
He's practicing to be a stripper, and then Dennis walks up to him, and they kiss. Or almost kiss.
Yeah, because then Mac wakes up again. He had, like, dreamception or something.
And because Mac is officially gay.
Yeah.
By the way. And I guess he has a thing for Dennis. But he wakes up like, oh my God. And he's in bed with Dee and the black guy. Yeah. Which is a carryover from like the first episode.
They're all still living at Dee's house.
And they all have to sleep with the black guy.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome that they still do that. Because it's just kind of like, it shows that continuity throughout this season. But it's not like, beat you over the head with it.
Right.
It's just like,
this is still a thing.
Yeah. And hey, I hope what if it just goes on forever? They just, anytime it shows them waking up, they're sleeping with the black guy.
Frank and Charlie live and sleep together. So now it's just Dennis, Mac, Dee, and the old black guy.
Yeah. And it's like, how long do they have? Like, what was the terms of the bet that they made that they lost?
I don't remember because
how long do they, and how long is the black guy going to put up with it? Because he's sleeping sideways at the foot of the bed.
Right. He's got a warm place to sleep.
Are you just automatically assuming because he's black and has a beard that he's homeless, Chris?
No, you remember from the musical episode, they go to the homeless camp, and that's where that guy lives.
Okay, fine. I'll let you have that one, you racist Nazi.
We'll get there.
Anyway, so Mac wakes up again and, of course, sees Dennis dancing again.
Yeah. Same exact situation.
And he Dennis comes closer and closer and closer, and I think Mac thought he was going to kiss him because he kind of leaned in a little bit.
Right.
But then Dennis shuts the doors in his face. So, but, fast forward to Charlie and Dennis at, I guess he got himself a gig to go dance. And he's like, Dennis is dressed in like a button up collared shirt with a vest on. And
literally the outfit that like Richie Cunningham's dad wore in Happy Days.
Let me ask you this. If they made a movie about Donald Trump Jr., wouldn't you cast Dennis, Glenn Howerton, to play Dennis? Have you seen the kid?
No.
Yeah. I think it would be, when I saw him in that outfit, I was like, oh, if he just slicked his hair back, he'd be Donald Trump Jr. Or Eric Trump, whatever.
I mean, they're all weird looking.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go on. So Dennis is talking about, and the reason why he's dressed that way is because, girls always want to fuck their dad, apparently. And, Charlie's like, wait, does that mean I'm your son? And he's like, no. Because I'm your boy.
Yeah, because that was a reference to their conversation earlier. Because Dennis and Charlie were talking about the issues that the other members of the gang have. Like, Dee's got this thing about needing validation from dudes or whatever, and Mac has still got all of these issues with his dad and PTSD, and being gay and everything. We're the only people that don't have issues. Well, except for you, Charlie. And Charlie's
then he's like,
wait,
well,
what?
You were raped by a librarian.
You were raped by a librarian.
Which comes into play a lot later.
It does.
But
yeah, as Dennis decides, he deflects the conversation back to, no, what I meant was, I'm going to be a stripper, and you're going to be my boy. You got my back.
Yeah.
And he's
Charlie
like, no,
means
literally.
that to be like, I'm going to be your son.
You want me to dance with you? No, I need you to look at my back and make sure there's no moles or scratches or anything.
I don't think I picked up on that. I was half distracted through a lot of that episode for certain reasons. But so anyway, the lady that's having the party opens the door, and she's just like, she's an older lady, and there's a bunch of older ladies in there. And if you think about it, man, that makes sense, because I used to live in a town where the Chippendales would come through, and it was never like girls my age, and I was in my early 20s at the time, that were all excited for it. It was the older women that wanted to go and see the male strippers and stuff, which I have no problem with male strippers at all.
Of course not.
Hey, why not? And from what I hear, ladies can get pretty crazy and wild at those strip shows. But,
from what you hear.
From what I hear.
You're not gonna talk a little bit about your stripping past?
No, I've never stripped, but I did work with a guy who used to be a Chippendales dancer, and he would go on and on. He'd be like, man, in the back room, he's like, I fuck girls like, and their moms.
Jeez.
And stuff. It was crazy. Like begging, he's like offering me money just to suck my dick. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. What a life.
I feel like
he was like jacked.
Right. I mean, you have to be.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the Chris Farley Chippendales
right,
dancer.
But I mean, Dennis, I would say he's got low body fat, but he's not necessarily like jacked.
Right.
He's, whatever. Anyway.
I was just going to say, I was just going to let you go on, man. Clearly you got some stuff yourself that you're trying to work through.
So, Frank and Dee and the stripper and Mac go to a PTSD support group. Because, Mac is having nightmares about his dad. He's freaking out. He can't get any sleep. And Dee wants to show that to the soldier stripper guy that, I'm not really rock bottom. Rock bottom can be a lot worse, and I'm going to help you with your issues.
Because she assumed that he was an actual soldier.
Right.
Because he was... Because
he plays one on stage.
Yeah, he's a veteran stripper. Is his character, and so she assumed that he had an actual military background.
Right. Life doesn't always imitate art, or the other way around.
Right.
But anyway, so there's this. It's a funny scene in the PTSD support group because nobody there was in the military. Frank does talk about
his time in Vietnam,
in the private sector mostly, but he's like, hey, I shot a couple kids,
And then put them in the soup.
Call back, but anyway, they don't really spend a whole lot of time in the PTSD thing. I guess Frank brings up the fact that they're playing a game, and
the
offers,
stripper's like, what game? He's like, oh, Fallujah. Oh, yeah, I played that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out of it. You want to play it? I'll give you $20
an hour. And he's like,
oh,
really?
Okay.
Yeah, and then they're like, yeah, we don't need you anymore.
And then they all leave.
So Dennis and Charlie are back at his place, and they get a call from somebody to set up a stripper party for sorority girls. And then Dennis is like, he's all over it, and he's like, I'm gonna be the bad dad from now on. And Charlie's like, got the fucking little propeller beanie hat on and everything, like taking the whole role of a kid to its just most ridiculous extreme.
Exactly.
But Charlie's talking to the girl on the phone trying to set up the party, and he ends up handing the phone off to Dennis, and he immediately realizes that it's Dee. Well, we know from the beginning.
They both did. They both immediately realized.
Oh, Charlie did too?
Yeah, because even after Dennis says something, it's like, of course we knew it was you, Dee. No one else does accents as bad as you. And Charlie's like, yeah, no, nobody does.
Yeah. So they go to the party that's at the bar. And apparently Mac, his whole thing kind of fizzled out. There wasn't really much climax to his story because he just ended up taking like a long nap.
Yeah.
And he was fine.
Yeah, and that's like kind of where the episode ends.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that a little bit. But the stripper thing, because Dee organized this so that Mike, the veteran stripper, would have another show and he would get paid well for it.
Yeah, and she's like, look at all these things I'm doing for you. I'm getting you paid to play video games. I've got you this show, and then I'm going to reunite you with your daughter.
Yeah, because that was part of his whole rock bottom thing. He realized, my daughter won't even speak to me. I'm having meaningless sex, and I'm just dancing for money. Yeah.
Random whores.
Yeah.
Just dancing for money. So the show starts, and who is the host?
Rickety Cricket.
Fucking Rickety Cricket. And everybody's just so disgusted in the crowd.
They wanted a Southern Matthew McConaughey MC type thing.
I guess so. I don't know. I've never seen Magic Mike.
I haven't either.
But they name drop that movie a lot.
Yeah, they did.
And he's just, he's bombing on stage. He's showing them their scars and everything. And
he tells them the story of how he had his kidney taken out through the front by a Chinaman that didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. And Rickety Cricket's a great example of a character that was on the straight and narrow, had a good, a decent life.
They specifically mention him. Like, in this episode. Because she is talking about how she's good for men. Yeah. And then Cricket comes in right then.
He's like, hey guys, I'm going to go take a shower in the urinal.
And they all point at him. And she's like, well, that's a bad example.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
No, it totally counts. Because you have just ruined him. The whole Reynolds clan and Mac and Charlie have just ruined Rickety Cricket.
Yeah.
Terribly. And I want to see him get his revenge. I think eventually he will. But he's a little too fucked up in the head right now. Yeah. He's getting off that crack.
Yeah, no. And he needs to stop sucking dicks underneath the overpass.
So he introduces Daddy and the Boy. Dennis and Charlie come out, and they're like fake playing catch while Cats in the Cradle is playing in the background. Well, I couldn't think. I've been to strip clubs. And there's nothing sexy about Cats in the Cradle, even if it's a dude dancing to it. And there's really nothing sexy about someone playing catch with their son. Even if I was gay, I wouldn't find that sexy in the slightest.
No,
it would be more depressing than anything else, because that's a really depressing song.
Yes, it is. That's the point.
You know who did a good cover of that song?
Who?
Ugly Kid Joe.
I don't think I've ever heard Ugly Kid Joe's version of that song.
It's on the same album that had I Hate Everything About You. Yeah. I used to have that cassette tape back in the day. Go check it out. Ugly Kid Joe's cover of Cats in the Cradle.
Yeah. PSA from the Dork Age
recommendation for the week. But anyway, so all the girls understandably are getting mad.
Yeah, show us your dick.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what, I'm the bad. And he's like, no, we have the power. We're on the stage. You listen to us. And they're just like, no, get naked and dance.
Because again, that's another callback to his issue that they mentioned earlier. The fact that he was raped by the librarian. Yeah. And women have always had power over him.
Right, but now he has the power.
Yeah, now he has.
Because he's the bad dad, stripping on stage with someone who's claiming to be his son. It's so weird,
Two
though.
cats in the cradle.
Right, and luckily they didn't really get naked or anything, and their segment on stage gets shut down pretty quick, and the soldier stripper, I don't even remember his name.
I think it was Mike.
Yeah, something like that. Gets introduced.
Which is kind of hilarious with the Magic Mike reference there.
And he gets introduced, and he goes out, and he's doing pretty much a standard strip dance, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing funny about it.
Vaguely, like, veteran-related, because he's,
so.
Like, saluting and stuff.
And he's got the hat on and everything. Yeah. But then he takes his pants off, and then he goes up onto this girl and starts, like, grinding his dick up in her face, and all of a sudden she looks up.
The lights come on.
Yeah. The lights come on. She looks up, and she's like,
Dad?
Dad? Oh, my God. This is disgusting. What did she say? I had my finger on your butthole or something like that. Something about his.
My finger was in your asshole.
My finger was in your butthole. And she flips out and she's like, "Don't ever talk to me again." And he's like, "What the fuck?" And then Dee comes out and just
got you.
She's just like, "I got you. Now you've hit rock bottom. You were just you had your balls in your daughter's face, dry humping her face." And she was just like reveling in this, and it was very Cartman-esque.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
This was I made you eat your parents.
Yeah, for Dee.
Right.
And she's done some horrible things, but this was pretty bad.
Yeah, this is particularly bad.
And it just solidifies the fact that they're all just terrible, terrible, terrible people. And that's really the question, is why do we love this show so much when all the characters have zero redeeming qualities?
I think it's because they have zero redeeming qualities, and you can look at them and you can say, at least I'm not Dee Reynolds.
Right.
At least I'm not Dennis Reynolds. At least I'm not illiterate Charlie.
At least I don't know people like that.
Yeah.
No
one I know is that bad.
So, anyway, what do you think of the episode, folks? Let us know in the comments below.
Oh, by the way, we almost forgot to talk about the Mac thing. Because, as he realized, because Frank has his own, like, PTSD dream and wakes up in the back office. And
I don't recall that.
Yeah, it's at the very end of the episode. Mac is trying to wake Frank up, and Frank looks up at him and he's like, "Oh, Mac, I think you're right. I think I've got the PTSD now, too. I just had this terrible nightmare." And Mac's like, "No, I realized it. I just slept for like 10 hours and
I'm fine.
And I'm fine now. I think it's literally just been sleep deprivation."
The world will never know.
And then apparently Mike and Mac beat the game, and Frank was like, "Oh, well, you want to play it again?" Like, no,
it's terrible.
End of the episode.
Could you imagine like in the not too distant future, like VR games becoming so realistic that theoretically you could suffer some kind of trauma from it?
I mean, legitimately, I've just been watching other people play through Resident Evil.
The VR version?
The new one, it's like a first person.
Right, but it's also out for PlayStation VR.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But
that was like their big, one of their big things whenever VR came out was the new Resident Evil.
Well, I already have PTSD just from watching other people play that game.
So imagine playing it fully immersed.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you think, folks? Let us know in the comments below, and we're going to move on right now.